Okay, so let me start again. I want to explain I mentioned last week, and I want to say it again, Chol of Akum, this whole sugya, is a very complicated sugya. And there's no way we have the time and kayach, and you little have to sit and learn a week to learn the sugya. But I'm going to try again to make it simplify, and I'm just going to quote again what I explained last week, just briefly. Again, Chazal made two gzeiras. First gzeira that Chazal made, that if a goy milks cows and milking a yid cannot drink it. And the reason they made the gzeira was because a goy is a choshid that he's going to put in non-kosher milk. Now, minat Torah, you don't have to worry about it. Why don't you have to worry about minat Torah? I explained last week, the Shach says, because it becomes botel baroiv. That means even if the goy did put in non-kosher milk, chaza milk, or any other milk, so there's minat Torah becomes botel baroiv. It means the majority is going to be milk, cow's milk, because b'chlal, the Pesachim explain that non-cow's milk is greener, different color. So you could tell if it would be majority, would be not cow's milk, you'd be able to tell. So minat Torah, you don't have to worry about it. And other chreinim, besides the Shach, add that even the Goyim did it, it was a rarity when the Goyim did it. This is very important what I'm saying now. It was a rare that the Goyim did it. After became the Chazal came and he said, you're not allowed to drink the milk. That's one gzeira. Now this gzeira, I explained last week, and I want to just make it clear, this was where the root of the question came out. How far did they make the gzeira? That means, minat Torah, you don't have to worry about it. But the Rabbi says you do have to worry. How much do you have to worry? Do you have to worry, let's say, you have to see mamish, or you have to mamish watch him do it? How about a CCTV? We spoke about the circuit. How's it called? The closed circuit. Or how about, better where the guy is afraid from the government? We'll get later into the. So I explained that the majority of the Achreinim, including the Tzemach Tzedek, all held that even there is no duver tumah in the city. Imagine you have a city milking cows. There is no chazir, there is no horse, and there is no donkey. So come on, where is he get tumah? Chazal made a plague because originally the Isser wasn't such a strong Isser anyways, because it was not shchir. So when the Chazal said it's Osir, like plague means across the board. Because once you say a rule in Halacha is, once there's a crack, you're in trouble. I always tell people, Lashon Hara is so hard not to talk, because sometimes you gotta talk, sometimes you can't talk. If you close your mouth, you're not gonna be nichshel. You open your mouth, so every Halacha always works that way. But Chazal went and said it's also. So let me just elaborate of this alone. But let me just explain. So the question was, when the guy is afraid that the government will be after him, is that good enough to say he didn't put milk in? That's the question. And we'll get into the Mechaber. You see, it's a whole Gemara. We'll see the Mechaber. We're based on a case. I just want to go to another thing. The second Gezeira, the Chazal came and said, you're not allowed to eat cheese. Can't eat cheese from a goy. The main reason why they asked the cheese, the Gemara says 5 reasons. And it's a complicated sugya. But let me just say what the majority of the Rishonim, the Goyim made cheese by putting in a starter, which is the stomach lining of an animal. Remember, we explained this last week, and I'll repeat it again. They would take a strip of the meat of a cave one of the stomachs, and hang it into a vat of milk, and the enzymes of the stomach would curdle the cheese and turn it into cheese. Today we figured out which enzymes. So they take a little vial with this enzyme. Still, the best cheese, you should know till today's day, is made from the enzymes of a stomach. So the problem was that it's nevela. It's not kosher. The animal is not kosher. So mamela, I explained it's called duvar amamet, meaning to say, even though there's 10,000 times the amount of cheese against this vial, so you're never going to have a fleshige taste. It doesn't have a fleshige taste. But still, it's called duvar amamet. What made the cheese a cheese? This vial that came from a stomach, from a non-kosher stomach. So busa b'cholov is not a problem, because busa b'cholov, if it doesn't give a taste to each other, it's not a problem. So I explained that all the Rishonim say, why do you need to have an avela? How our good cheese, if you buy expensive cheese, I'm sure Chabad eat cheese too. Shavuos. So the cheese that you have, the cheese that you have, the good expensive cheeses, you buy good expensive cheese, still made from the stomach lining of a cow. So I'm talking about real expensive good cheeses. So how do you make it? Because since it's never going to give a taste, the meat to the milk, so it's not a problem. Problem is that it makes it into a cheese. If it's not kosher, then that's the problem. But there's a simple question: why do we need a new gzeira? The goy is milking his cow. His milk is usher. I didn't need a second gzeira. This second gzeira was much, much later. This second gzeira was done in the times of Rabbi Kiva, Rav Tarfon. The Gemara explains it in great detail. So this is the famous, as we say in yeshiva, it's a $20 million question. Why did we need a new gzeira? The original gzeira, you can. So here you see, as the original gzeira, that was not good enough. That means if I buy cheese from the goy originally, it's okay. That's a machlokes Rashi and Tosfos. Let me explain. Tosfos says the very simple reason: cheese you cannot make only from cow's milk. That means if I take a pig milk and I'm trying to make cheese, or donkey's milk, it's never going to happen. So even if I take milk from a chazer and I pour it into the vat of cow's milk, that milk it's called whey. You know what whey means? It falls to the wayside. Remember we explained it? It falls to the side. It goes to the side. It's never going to become cheese. So if a goy is making cheese, he'll be silly to put in other milk, because according to the original gzeira, you could buy cheese from a goy. So
why is that different in a city where there is no other?
That's the question. So that's the question where this even going to everyone. What are the difference of this? Yeah, because Chazal only. That's a very good question, and the answer to what you just asked is because when Chazal said, "I cannot buy milk from a goy," and they said loy plig milk. But if he changed it into another substance, he changed it into cheese, butter, that's not included in the gzeira. So this is where the question comes. If they change into cheese, they need a new gzeira. How about butter? That's why we're going to learn later. Many people still today's day eat butter. We'll later learn why we're machmer. You know, I have to say over and over again, we don't eat butter. You know what I mean? We still don't. But there was a susi that's a chumrah, but we don't do it. But why? Because
when you say we don't eat butter, you're specifically referring to non-certified butter. Right? It doesn't have any extra.
No. Even as extra, no.
We Hasidim.
No, never Hasidim. Even non-Hasidim.
Even non-Hasidim.
No, it's important. No, it's not. Many people think it's a Chassidish meaning. It's a mistake. It's nothing to do. I'll soon say about the Chassidish meaning.
People are not like on Halacha.
Right. Even people not. Well, also not. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. It's complicated, and I'll explain it later. I don't want to get into it now. It gets too complicated. Just want to focus on most simple things. So according to this, butter is okay. The cottage cheese maybe is okay. Cottage cheese does not need a starter. So that's because the Chazal only acided in the original when it's burned. That's why last week I said there's a huge machlokes. Many hold you could buy powdered milk from a goy. This is very, very important because many places you can't get milk and they use powdered milk. Like the Rabbi said in his hometown, there was no milk. You know, why? Because the butter, the powdered milk, when the goy is just like when the goy made into cheese, we need a new gzeira. Many hold you allowed to eat the butter. So if you goy made into powdered, then it's a change of the original form. That's why the Shabina Roof, it was a great place again, a Chassidish place again, it was a Gun Oilam, after the war from the Goin Dor, and he said you could use powdered milk. I was a Chiddush to me that they already had in the 50s. They had powdered milk, but had powdered milk, they came out there, and he held just like butter is okay. He held powdered milk is better than butter, later see why, but he said you could eat powdered milk. The others argued that it's not such a big change, powder. Because you can powder anything. You know, you can buy powdered eggs, powdered potatoes. It's nothing to do that the milk became. It's just you took out, as we say, the H2O. They dried it out. They just that's what they did.
What would be the problem? I don't see the problem with that.
Well, because
That's it. What's the problem?
say this.
If he says you need a new Zeta,
Well, the question is, we need a new gzeira when your milk became something totally different. It became butter, cheese, powder, anything you can make into powder. What happens if the guy cooked it? Did it change or no? But powder means all he did was he took out the liquid, whatever liquid it has, and put it in the powder.
with butter and everything else.
No. That's the milk changed into a totally different thing. Here, this you could powder anything you want. It's nothing to do because the milk turned into something special. Nothing special about powder. Yeah, that's it. I can make it back into I can make it back into milk. That's what powdered milk is. There's nothing there that changed the great essence.
So if we want to follow
There are people.
so is that an accepted opinion today?
Today, you could buy powdered milk from Mahadrin. I forgot the Chabad's name. Whatever the name. I'm saying you could buy Cholav Yisrael from Mahadrin.
There are many non-certified Cholav Yisrael products that use mostly powder. They only use these massive companies use powder. They don't really use they don't really do schleppen milk. So
That's an assumption.
I know this, but I'll do further research. But let's just say that there.
It's not accepted. I don't think it was accepted ever. Yeah, even the OU would write OUD on it, just tell you that's not Cholav Yisrael. All the products, the OU writes OU. No, but also they clearly say on the website, we write OUD and be aware it's not Cholav Yisrael. They say very clearly. They don't say it's Cholav Yisrael.
So no one agreed with it. That's
I don't know. I can't see no one. When you have young children who don't have milk and people were saimach on these coolers, and in Halacha always when there's a big need, you were saimach on certain coolers where there was a need. Okay, so understand this is how the cheese needed a new gzeira, and that's why it became asa. So that again. So let me go back again. So Tosfos explained we needed a new gzeira. Tosfos said because you would not put milk into it, you'll be a fool to put milk into it because pig milk or any other milk, it's not going to turn into cheese. Why would he do it? The guy is milking to make cheese. So what did Rasha hold? Rasha didn't hold that way. Rasha's opinion was, how do you know that the guy milked it for that reason? How do you know? Maybe milked it to drink, then changed his mind to make cheese. So what happens if you have a place where all they do is have cows and make cheese? There are such places. Theoretically speaking, according to Rasha, be good. Still, the Shulchan says we're machmer. That means, according to Rasha, you know what I mean. Rasha, this is going to be negated by butter and other such things.
In other words, Rashi doesn't give the reason because of the rennet, because of the
Rasha doesn't learn rennet. Rasha learns it. But we are machmer both chumras, so we say that even. Well, the Gemara says a question how to learn the whole Gemara. It's a very complicated Gemara. Rashi also agrees, but what?
Until then, they didn't worry.
No, they held that it's not, it's bottle. Because the way Muhammad is a derabon thing, it's bottle.
But using that's the whole basis of the creation.
According to Waman Domer and according to Tosfos, that's the Mashkin. According to the Rambam and other Rishonim, The Gemara gives 5 reasons. I told you it's a very complicated. One reason the Gemara says it's Dover Muhammad. Another reason the Gemara says they smeared the cheese with chaza fat. They would, on top of the cheese, they would smear it. One of them says they would use orla, because orla is very sharp. It's very fruit from orla they would use to make cheese. One of them says because we're worried about the goyim and the made cheese, they left the vat open. We're worried about a snake spinning into it, the venom. The Gemara has 5 or 6 reasons. So the question is how and why do we pass it on? So I told you it's a very complicated Gemara how the Shulchan Aruch works. It's much too long. Just want to just make the main points. That's why we are machmer. And remember you said last week. So what do we negeya? You know, there's Miller's cheese we spoke about. You know, there's Miller's cheese says on it made from non-cholav Yisrael. You ever noticed it's cholav kosher cheese? You know. So what is the question? According to according to the Toises, the Rebbein Tam, it's okay. But even according to Rashi, many hold if all what they doing is for the cheese, it's not a problem because that's all what they're doing it for. So let me explain something. We have to make the cheese. When the Chazal asked the cheese, so the cheese. There's a Yid who puts in the cheese, but he goes to this company, Miller's Cheese, which happens to be also a non-kosher company, which makes cheese, and the Yid stands there, pours in the kosher in it. But it's not made from Chol Yisrael. And many hold, even if you makbid in the Chol Yisrael, be good, because going to the Bein Tam, it's okay, and going to Rashi, that's all what they do. Understand? But Lamasa, we don't. We, in Halacha Lamaisa, we're not... The Rabbi Shiurim says the Ramah says the mini goes to be machmer, but you can't say guy wants to be makel, can be makel, especially when Moshe held that it's cholav Yisrael in America. But the mini was to be machmer. That's why most people will not buy this cheese.
What would Rashi hold in Governor Mali than anything else?
Yes, well, that does it. That's a very good question what you asked. And Hilchas Pesach, this is discussed in great length because they used to make. He's asking. Since Rashi doesn't say that the Dover Muhammad, Rashi goes with a different opinion. How about Dover Muhammad in Pesach to make cheese? Believe it or not, they would sometimes use beer, certain beer. They let it beer get a little rotten. Chometzik, I say vinegar. Beer that becomes very vinegar does make cheese. And according to Rabbi, the Rishonim say Arash is going to be Maida. It needs a good explanation. I don't remember now by heart. There's a famous question in Hilchos Pesach. You understand what he's asking? Because if Rashi was not so, if you don't follow that opinion of Ramah, how about Pesach and how about other places?
Must be categories in Ramah.
No, Kasha, I don't remember now. Don't remember. I know this is a famous question. I don't remember the answer.
You see, Rashi doesn't hold with Ramah.
But the Gemara.
That concept doesn't concern him?
Doesn't concern him. You see,
By
there's.
cheese.
Well, let me just explain the matter. There are 5 reasons that what it gives. So, what was the other reasoning? Why do you need new reasons? The guy puts in meat, which is not kosher meat, to make the cheese. So, why do we need 4 other reasons? The other argue. They say another reason. Why is the original reason not a good reason? That's a kasha. I know they discussed. I don't remember now what the answer is because we do paskin over Muhammad is all over us. We do paskin that way. Okay, so let's learn the Shulchan Aruch.
So why did we have to do the second Sarah?
Because you could buy cheese according to the Rebbein Tam. You're allowed to buy cheese from a goy. I mean, according to Rashi. Now let me explain. You're right. I left that one small information what he's asking. Let me clarify. According to the Bein Tam, we need a new reason. Because according to the Bein Tam, we were allowed to buy cheese. Rashi says that the Chazal added the reason because we are worried he's going to put in non-kosher milk. Maybe he didn't milk it to make cheese. And in the cheese there is traps of the milk.
Then why is that butter?
Yeah, because you could see it and it's doesn't become cheese. Right. Doesn't become cheese and it's trapped there and you could see
What
it.
does it become?
It's there, trapped.
Stays milk.
Sells milk.
It gets smelly.
And it's chaza milk. So Rashi learns that the goy you have to worry put in chazer, and when he becomes cheese, look at our cheese are made differently. But you look at cheese, you look at the trap places. There's liquid. That liquid is chazer maybe.
Today it's some water.
Yeah, in times of Gemara also worms. You know that you're allowed to eat the worms of cheese. You know that. Says Elchonon, when you're eating cheese, the worms of cheese, make sure it doesn't fall off the plate. If it falls off the plate, don't eat it. If it jumps off the plate, but it's in the plate, you know. So I thought that no one eats it. So the French, right? And you're aware about this? The French goyim eat cheese with worm crawling all over it. It's high protein.
Another reason to another like a
Only the high society ones, right?
Is that like the worms in the fish?
No, well, that's different. I mean, it's the same idea. The reason the worms are mitah because it grows inside, and if you hold the worms in the fish, it's mitah because it grows in the fish.
The whole thing with the worms and the fish is not.
No, we're not going to go. We went into this already.
Different cheese.
Nochem, you always like to pull us off topic.
According to real practical, situations that we live in every day. Do we eat wild salmon or not? That's why.
You're helping him out.
According to Taisus, why do we have to make it? If Taisus is only worried about the fact that we're worried that they're going to mix in.
Because of Davar Maimon.
So Tosis says a machadish u'mamad. That's right. That's right. Okay.
Isn't there some sort of thing where, like, if it's a Drabanan, you have, like, I mean, how many levels are there? Because you're, like, worried. Anyhow, it's button, okay? And Rashi's saying, according to Rashi, you're saying, okay, even though it's bottle, there was this takana by the Chazal because they didn't want people to have the milk. They might have a little chazer milk in there even though it's bottle, right? And then we're saying, well, normally it doesn't even make sense to sell the milk to someone that's making cheese, but maybe the guy didn't know, and he happened to get the batch from the guy that mixed in a little of the chazer milk, even though that wasn't the majority, it was just, he happened to get that one, made his cheese out of it, and then when he happened to make it, maybe a bit of that milk got.
Not maybe, then it for sure it's going to be here.
I'm saying, like, it seems like, isn't there some sort of like a sex fake, with shvus to shvus? I don't know.
No.
Somewhere along the line.
No. The Chazal very often went out of the way and asked it with a great understanding why. That's where the Hasidic things come into picture. How's a Kabbalah whole things? I once saw even about Rebbe, Sikha once tried to explain, brings down why. But in Nigla, it's very simple. Chazal were afraid, knew that this could be big machsholim, and that's why they asked it. Finished. That's it. They knew that, practical speaking, everyone needs milk, and milk was always drunk. It wasn't like today we live in a society we could have juice, orange juice, who knows juice, what you can have. Children, we give them substance for every person needed milk. My mother's gesund stark lived in a village, and they had 13 children, so they had a cow. Yeah. And they were wealthy because they had 2 shiksas working for them. 2 tziganas, 2 gypsies working for them, not one. But the bottom line is, everyone needed milk. It's not like we eat today. Yes.
So according to the Rabbi, to make cheese, the yid has to actually make it.
Has to make it.
The mirsus doesn't apply there also.
And we later learned it's a machlekes, and we machmer. It's a whole machlekes. We asking that it's enough to see to make the cheese. I could see him put in my rennet. No. He agrees, but Shisa doesn't. Not connect. That's clear. That's clear. Moshe says mefurish.
Are there any farms that are making cholesterol cheese that they're getting it from Palestine milk?
There is a Miller company that's called. It says on it, not made from Chol Yisrael. It says clearly on it. In New York, they said, I never saw it here. It says Gevinas Yisrael. It's kosher, but it's Seven Ross, is it? Vans. It says on it. It says on it Nasa. It's not made from Chol Yisrael. I remember the word it says on it.
That's not considered Chol Yisrael.
According to us, it's not considered Chol Yisrael. And even if it's not Chol Yisrael, some hold that you still. But the mini was not to eat it. So to me, it was a chiddush. It still exists because the frum are taking over. It's not. Unfortunately, the modern Orthodox are, not. the generation is not growing as much as the Frum community. So I don't know, it was the Miyah Chiddush that it still exists. When I was a child, I always used to see in the stores. Yeah, the modern Orthodox people eat it.
It's about markets. As long as milk cheese is half the price of Olam cheese, there's still going to be,
Buyers. Yes.
But if they're gonna eat that, why don't they just get Holstein?
It's more expensive. He just answered, you know.
Holstein is more expensive?
No, yeah, of course. It's not Cholav Yisrael is more expensive.
I'm saying, if you're gonna get that,
I'm just saying the practice. He's just said very practical. The price is much more cheaper.
Yeah, but with milk, sorry,
Yeah, we're not talking economics. Let's focus. Let's learn the Mechaber. So the Mechaber. Cholav shechol v'evdi gechovim ve'ein sorei, and the guy doesn't see it. Usa shema iraboy cholav tumah. We worried maybe he mixed in cholav tumah. To finish, hoy choylev bebeisoi. Now listen to this Gemara. He was milking in his house, in the guy's house. V'yisoi yoshim in bechutz. And the Jew is sitting outside. I mean, the guy is milking in his barn, and I'm sitting outside, and I ask the guy I need some milk. And the guy knows, I'm going to explain, that I drink only Cholav Yisrael. I mean, not Cholav, I only drink cow's milk. So I am outside the barn, and in the barn there's a cow and a donkey or whatever else, and I tell the guy I want milk. Now the first Mechaber is talking about if I know there is nothing in his barn, mitter, it's okay. Let me explain what he's saying. The Mechaber is saying two cases based on the Gemara. One case is that I come to the guy and he has in his farm, all he has right there is cows. And then I'm sitting outside, even I cannot see him milk, but I could see him leave the barn or come back. That's good enough that I could drink the milk already.
But you were sitting outside.
I was sitting outside. That if he has no cholav, he has no behemoth. It means the fact that he has a barn full of cows. I'm sitting outside, that's good enough. Well, everyone agrees to this. They're sitting outside Gemara. So I'm sitting outside. Now, what happens if he has a dover tuma inside the barn? So the Mechaber's second part is saying, he has a dover tuma in his stock. We saw Yoshim and Mechutz. We saw him sitting outside. That means if he, this is a little different. He has in his barn, let's say, standing there, a donkey and a cow. I tell the guy, I need cow's milk. And I'm sitting outside. And he could really be a chevram the guy and milk me the donkey, not the cow. But he knows if I get up, I could see him. That's called mirses. He's afraid, and that's called like I watched him doing it. That's good enough. So here you see the concept of mirses. Mirses means he's afraid. Now I always explain to people, I'm not a customer that he's going to lose $100,000 I quit for him. Maybe I never was his customer. And maybe what I'm asking is 1 bucket of milk. But that's enough, he's going to look like a fool. He knows I asked him, he knows I'm not allowed to drink only cow's milk. I'm asking him to give me cow's milk. And if I could catch him red-handed, he looks like a fool. Like I always tell people, I'm not going to let diamonds in that place with this mirses. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to use a guy, he might just take the diamonds and run. I mean, the guy milking a cow, he's going to think to himself, well, I could get him donkey milk. He's going to look like a fool if I catch him, so he wouldn't do it.
Does this work with everything in like kashrus versus?
Yes.
And also, can't you test the milk for added other kinds of milk?
Yes, you can. But doesn't make no. Chazal made it this. It's also. This is a famous question. What's your first name again? Man. So he's asking this question, which today's place can bring. You could test and see. Well, no, it doesn't make any difference. Once the Chazal asked it became the Asa. It's very important. This concept doesn't change just because there are certain things that we do rely on some other thing. But then but Chazal asked it, yeah.
Suppose you're in Poland or in Ukraine, something where the Daca people are really anti-Semites. And they're going to do Daca. They just want to screw the Jew.
See, first of all, that we paskin in Shulchan Aruch, we'll see later. We said it before also, that we never worried the guy is going to do lahachas.
Unless you know otherwise.
We're not worried he's going to do, but Dafka want you to eat non-kosher. Only if he has some benefit. It's not going to, you don't have to worry. A lady just called me today. And, it's nice that this lady never leaves the house when the shiksa cooks. I left the house. And the shiksa, I left the milchige pot burning and the oven, and I picked up the children car. Maybe everything I tried. I says, you don't have to worry, your shiksa is going to dafka take some meat and put it into the milchige pot, take some milchige pot and put it into the meat pot. You don't have to worry about it.
You never saw her speaking to the shiksa. Maybe she
No, it doesn't make a difference. That's how we paskin. We're not worried. We're not worried. The reason we're only worried is when he has some profit. This is his cow, his donkey. He has milk there. Maybe he'll just give you donkey's milk or mix it in. That's what we're worried about. So if it's mirsis, meaning that he's nervous because I could get up and see doing, that's good enough. That's a good one.
Back to this question. He's not going to do it on purpose, but there's no mirrors.
He's not afraid.
Not afraid, then it's okay. Only when there's some gain of profit for him.
The satisfaction with the message.
No, we're not worried about that. I've said the story often. I'm going to say it again because everyone quotes the story. There was with the going on the plane. You know the story of the plane? Guy went on a plane. He had his a bologna sandwich, whatever, turkey sandwich. Gets up to the bathroom, goes to the wash, comes back, and he doesn't eat it. Says, Goy asks him, why don't you want to eat it? The guy says, I left it uncovered, maybe someone switched it. And the guy says, you have a real Torah. I switched it. So the whole article was, I remember in the Mashkin, one of these magazines, wow! You know what? He was allowed to eat the sandwich. Even if the guy said, I switched it. Because a guy has no namunas. His word is worthless.
And was there mirrors? And there was a mirrors there?
Because the mirror says the guy knows I'm going to switch it. He might turn around and come. He's not going to do it.
With all these shows,
It says it's not even less the yotzim anichnas. Sitting outside the barn is good enough. Listen, it's less than yotzim anichnas. I didn't come in even. I'm sitting outside the barn since I could get up and see, and I'm sitting on a chair. That's good enough. It says in the Gemara.
So what if we offer the service? It's not an embarrassment to them. What if I go to the biggest milk company in America and say, listen, I want small community of Jews want to start buying your car, but they're not going to do it unless you let me in once in a while. And they say, sure, yes.
No, you can't come. You have to come every day.
Every
Every day,
We don't use a little Coca-Cola every day.
No, because Coca-Cola doesn't put wine into it. You know what I mean? Chazal didn't ask Coca-Cola, didn't ask orange juice. We only asked milk. We spoke about it. Oh, you not heard that? I explained that all products normally, whatever it is, you're not worried that anything, unless we have a reason to be worried about. Once you checked out Coca-Cola or Pepsi, or I forgot you had a juice over there. I forgot the juice you mentioned. Once you check out that the juice is okay, you don't have to worry about it. Why Mechatesa will mix in other juices. When Chazal say milk is something they had exclusion gezeda, and they said milk we cannot trust the guy.
Once a day, someone's going to a major non-functional factory.
He has to be there from the beginning to the end. But he learn why is good. But he has to be sitting there and watch it.
Not about even going in, it's just about being there.
Being there, that means you can get up and see what's going on.
Even Nicholas doesn't mean he could live 5 miles away.
No, that doesn't help.
No, but maybe the solution would be the cameras, theoretically.
That's what we spoke about. We spoke about they have
You don't
this.
have to be there, you set up cameras. And then-
Yes.
Remember from the beginning, let's see how the cameras are.
You know, there's no time of Android that he doesn't have to be able to see it.
If there's no Tumah Edra, then all you have to be there because Chazal. That's a good question. Why do I have to be there? Yeah, in better. What happens in the whole city? There's no Dover Tumah. To add your question, he's asking. There's no Dover Tumah in the entire barn. So the Pri Chodesh wanted to say, the famous Pri Chodesh, wanted to say that in the whole city, there's no, often in these farm villages, in the whole city there was no Dover Tumah, to milk. They had, and he says, the Pri Chodesh wanted to be Mekel. But everyone disagrees. There's nothing to talk about. Everyone disagrees. And he said, Chazal made the Gezerah, even though there's no Dover Tumah, you should be there. As again, it's a Dover Shenigza B'minyan. Chazal demanded because in a remote way, maybe Somehow, you're not aware, there could be today a Dover Tomeh.
Stands up, and he can't see the shots.
Yeah, because he knows. No, because he checked the barn, there's nothing Tomeh, and if the guy leaves the barn, he'll be able to see him.
Sitting outside. So he's not.
You know, I'm sitting there, so I looked inside, there's nothing there. I'm sitting outside, if he ran out, I could see him.
Why doesn't the say the first part?
He said there's two parts, let me explain this. There's two parts over here. One part is, there's only cows. Remember I said today in New York, they have they use a farm which is 3,000 cows in a farm. And that's all they have there. So according to this, if it's a Goyish farm, we'll later see if it's a Jewish farm, or if it's a Goyish farm, if there's no Dover Tumah there, don't have to go inside. All I have to make sure that the Goy maybe didn't take a walk and ride off and go outside and find himself some other milk. But if there is a Chamar there, then I have to be able theoretically to get up and watch him. It doesn't have to, exactly.
With today's precautions, everything is so well documented with like how many animals are actually on the farms. Everything's so.
Doesn't make a difference, but you do hear in remote cases that people do cheat. That's enough. By milk, Chazal said, if it's a possibility, that's what Moshe held. That's what Moshe's kula. Just like the see there's mirrors, you're afraid of the goy. I didn't see the milking, but the goy is afraid. The Moshe held that's fear of the government, also fear. That's what Moshe held. You know, I must tell you the truth. The people arguing the Moshe. There's only one good argument. It was the Chelkas Yaakov, Chelkas Yoy from Luzern, from where's the guy? Chelkas Rabbi, Chelkas Yaakov was the Seder. Yeah, and he explains that first, what? He was a Chassidish Gaon in Europe after the war. About 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago.
What was his last name?
Breish. What was it going on? He was the only one who when he wrote a tshuva, who made sense to argue under Moshe. When I was young, I grew up in Williamsburg, and the chol of Akum was like you would have ate chaza. We looked at the people eating chol of stam. He ate chaza. Got a little older. I remember I learned the tshuva. I learned the sugya. I learned the tshuva Moshe. I didn't understand the machmirim. Then I learned all the ones. Due respect to many of the Rabban, didn't know what they're talking about. Then his Rabbi explains it. He has a famous tshuva. Satmar Rebbe wrote many tshuvas against the Moshe. So one of his talmidim told me he didn't want to write the tshuva. It's very hard to argue. They want to write a tshuva. But Rabbi explains, he brings a chamtzi, that he explains that mirsis is very hard to, I say it in English right there, to know exactly how much mirsis you need. Talking about not this halacha, other places we use mirsis. So he argues, how do you know the mirsis of the government is enough? Because they're not afraid. You know, you speak to them, they're a little nervous, but you hear, once in a while, they do crazy things in these farms, right? You know, it's enough. Other places, it's not cholov, we don't have to worry about kashrus. But you know, the eggs 2 years ago, you know, and for Maya with the eggs, I mean, last year was it? I mean, the guy was silly for doing it. He lost, who is on top of it? The guy lost his farm. He lost that winter $200 million. What OU? What? We need, we're talking about ministers of the government, not talking about OU ministers, but ministers of the government. That's not a good ministers. Because people, you know, who's going to check? Unless you have a whistleblower. One time, once in a while, you got a whistleblower. But you see, that's enough. That's the question. How much mirses we need? That's always the question. So that's why it was not accepted. You know, Moshe's Kula was not accepted. You know, the Babich Rebbe and the Zalman Shimon were all were against this. The Satmar Rebbe all were against it because we can't create the numerous they held. This is but the Gemara. I'm saying it was based on the Gemara on the Shulchan Aruch. There is mirses. To have a mirses from the government, maybe it's not equal to that mirses.
So if a Frumian worked for the government and he was an inspector in a milk factory, that would be okay. We come follow this show.
Well, you know, in Sweden we have a saying. How much wie viel Geld darf man leihen? I have a brother. I'm going to tell you, I have a brother in a jewelry company. He still makes it. An inspector came, and one of the fires, you know, wasn't so good. So he sits down, he writes up a report, my brother just takes out $100, puts it over here on the side, and nothing, and I have to go to the bathroom, he comes back, $100 disappeared, and he disappeared. It would have costed him $2,000 to fix the thing. He didn't bribe him. I said, I took out $100, put it on the table, said, I have to use the bathroom, I'll be right back. He got the message, and he got the message. What do you mean? I mean, you're talking big. No, that's the question. How much?
I think it's a little confusing because here.
That's the question. We cannot create. That's the question. How much mirses do you need? So is this mirses from the government as good as this mirses? I'm not sure.
But to meet all the truths that you just quoted, if you have a Jew who is the government official, checks out the plant.
It doesn't work. He comes every day. You ever speak to inspectors?
So
You know,
the answer is,
How often the inspector come to yeshiva? Once a year?
we have to only go with the government.
What?
Now they have been coming often.
Because there was something wrong.
Exactly, a few years ago.
Yeah, but otherwise they don't come. You ask a restaurant, how often do they come?
I'm talking about a factory.
Factory, they don't come.
They have inspectors every day.
Meat. Only the meat. Only the meat, not the milk. I went to the dairy, I asked them, there's no inspectors there. Come once in a while.
But you're saying the mirrors, but basically you're saying the mirrors of orange juice is different than the mirrors.
Right.
They may be there some, but we're still saying in orange juice, there's mirrors because why would he mess with it? In milk,
Yes, Chazal said exactly what you're saying. Chazal said if this milk would have been orange juice, you don't have to worry about it. But Chazal said it came to milk, they superimposed this gzeira.
up until the revolution in Europe, they didn't that.
Government, ask the rabbi in Brazil, it's a joke. In Brazil, it's a joke. I have a guy in Mexico ask me this question.
That an argument 2,000 years. They didn't be called Akum. Also reading called.
No, but didn't have a government to be standing over you.
But practically.
There was no mercies. There was no mercies. This is the first time in history government is standing over you. In Brazil, there's no mercies.
In communist Russia,
There's also no mercies. There's even less mercies.
everybody was reporting on everybody.
Yeah, but not in the farms. Ask him. I want to explain to you quickly. I once was in a car driving from the airport in New York. So the driver was a Russian. So ask him, "No, how's life in America?" So I want to tell you something. He was an intelligent person. He says, in Russia, all day long I was thinking how not to work and earn the same money. Here, I have to think, to turn the wheel the other way around. If I don't work, I'm not going to make money. How to work to make money. All day long, he said, I was thinking how much less, and how much I could drink and get away not to work and still not be fired from a job. I made sure I'm not productive. You know, this is the first time in history that the government, that today in the last, I don't know how many years it was, go and look, and not all over. In South America, many of these places, it's a joke. I was told in Mexico 20, 30 years ago, guy told me, they don't never come. It doesn't work like in America.
I don't understand if we said that it has to be a nurse that you can get up any second and see. We know the government is not there every day. So how
Well, it doesn't mean every second. You're right. That's what you're saying. Some of the Chaim argue on the Moshe this thing because they say it has to be mirses every second. But the Moshe explains mirses is a how do you say in English, a matzav state of mind. You're right. This argument is a good argument, but the Moshe is explaining it's a state of mind. They're afraid.
The consequence of this mirror is that he'll be ashamed.
Government would be worse.
But in this case, does the mirrors have to be, according to us, who pass this route, the mirrors have to be from a yid. In other words,
Exactly. That's how the Choinim held. There has to be mirses of Eid. That's what the Rabbi.
was that the government actually came every day. If that was the mitzvah, would we be able to rely on that?
And according to Rabbi, no, it wouldn't be good. You have to be mirses from Eid. That's one of his arguments.
There's answer to that. Has to be mirrors from a yid.
The Moshe didn't answer his question. Didn't answer him. Doesn't answer him. Because he held the Mechatesa to make such an afkamina. It's a chiddush to say, I need mirses. I want to explain to you, I don't want you to guys go away that you're going to drink chol of stam now. The Moshe's argument.
We actually had a big coming out party. We all had big gallons of Alpha milk. Hershey's chocolate bar, Rabbi.
I want to repeat myself because I seen Jets. The boys misquote me all the time. So I how you say in English, reiterate. Just that it's surely usher, nothing to talk about. The question is why? Why was the mach? It was Kamad. Moshe was a yochet in his thing. Everyone held it was usher. Even everyone held it was usher. Everyone, I didn't hear what? No, the truth, history was not that way. The history was that before World War II, before with all due respect, the Hungarian Jews came, everyone drank cholov. The Hungarian Jews came, and they were much more aggressive, and they opened the first cholov Yisrael there, and that's when, but Moshe was talking about when there was not, and it's a fact. When he came up with this heter, he was trying to explain, when he came to America in 1933, I forgot when he came. He came before World War II. And everyone was drinking. So that's how he, but...
No, but the question is, how come today everyone ran with it? Oh, you did all the big...
All the people were Samech Ad Moshe. And Moshe was, even the Babich Rebbe sent questions to him. He was an unbelievable person. I'm explaining, he was an unbelievable God. He's not Chas Hashem. His coolest, his thing was based on, like I'm saying, it's hard to argue. Most of his Chedushim were very, very hard to argue. I mean, he had a famous fight with the Gedolim about artificial insemination, if the child is a mamzer or not. A famous, another time we'll talk about. And when I got older, I learned the sugi. I didn't understand the machmirim, but, his rise, and also very weak rise. I mean, he was a guy, let me just tell you who the Moshe was. Yankiv Kamenetsky was at Ritvish, he went to visit once, and he saw that he was very, very happy. He asked him, why is he so happy? He didn't want to tell him. Finally, he told them, it's the second time that I finished 101 times Shas. I'm telling you, he asked, every time he finished Shas, he made a line in the back of the thing. So he made this the second time. I mean, guy learned Yoim Avalayla. It wasn't that, he was, and he was a brilliant person besides that. It was not the money must meet him, but it was like, it wasn't like, but it wasn't accepted. The halacha is, you could be very big. The Rambam was incredible big, and the Chachmadur argue with him. You follow the many such concepts, it wasn't accepted. The Gemara says that Rameya was so brilliant, no one understood the depths of Rameya. That's why we don't pass like Rameya. That's the Gemara. It's a Gemara. Just that's a separate issue.
Going back to the plain story with the meat sandwich, so why do we have a problem with the meat uncovered?
Because there was a Yoitzav and Achnes, the guy knew you were coming back. You don't have to worry.
There's no problem leaving meat uncovered.
See, this is very important because people ask me. See, there's a Yoitzav and Achnes over there, so you don't have to worry. He switched the sandwich. But someone asked me also just now that we send a package. Someone brought a meat. And the box was open. I always tell people, when something gets stolen out of your suitcase, never did they take out an expensive camera and put a cheap camera. It never happened. Either they steal it or they don't. Right? Never happened. The guy took out an expensive shirt and they put it quickly as cheap shirt. The only time we're worried about when I'm sending this goy to deliver, you have a goy. You're sending your goy, take this food, and he knows he's got to give a cheshbon. You're sending it to your wife. Maybe he mediated up and he put something else. But when something gets delivered, either he steals it or he doesn't. There's no,
My honeymoon with my wife, we sent Pat's frozen food. And by the time he got there, it was like 2 days later, there was like 5 or 6 that were open and it was not.
They opened it up.
No, it got open because of the transit, whatever.
It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to because Okay.
With this gentleman on the plane, if the flesh was noticeably different, he's going to throw it out, right?
Yeah, if you notice something different, you're right. That's obvious.
No, if the guy says, hey, I switched it.
The guy said he switched in halacha, you don't trust him.
Right, but once he takes a bite, he's like, oh man, it's not kosher salami right there.
What?
When he takes a bite,
How would he know it's not
because no, he had it in the past.
Okay, Nachum. Okay, let's move on. Okay, Oichem.
Right at the end it says here, if the goy knows that
He has to know. Mirses means the guy has to know them.
If you go to, let's say, India, and let's just say they have no concept of
The regular shiksa, your shiksa who works for you also doesn't know. You know, unfortunately, I have to have a shiksa, you know. And, you know, we have to train the shiksa not to explain to her, don't mix, you know, don't.
Until she knows,
It can be.
house, right?
Well, yes, because if she's allowed to cook, if she's not allowed to cook, you know, if you don't let the shiksa cook, many people have, in my neighborhood, many people have full-time shiksa that wouldn't let them cook. The new generation doesn't let the shiksa cook whatsoever. They have full-time shiksas and even have the ones who sleep in, but they will never let the cook. I mean,
And what's with by turning on the flame before they use it, before they cook stuff?
that's a separate dish. That's as bishalakim. Turning on the flame only saves out. There shouldn't be a problem with bishalakim. So it means, but if you cook, but he has a separate question. Do you have to worry that the shiksa maybe put in something, you know, put some butter into the meat? I don't know if it's true, but there's a rumor going around, and it was also printed, and I have learned today never to believe many of these stories. But the rumor goes around, the guy had a shiksa, and asked the shiksa to make the cholent, and it was great. So he asked the shiksa, what did you put into the cholent? It was so good. So us in Mexico, we put butter into it. It's hard to believe. I don't believe the story. You know,
What does everybody do with this line about how can the government okay? If the government, they're not scared about pig milk because it's only for a year.
no, but that doesn't make a difference.
But it says
No. That does, that because in those days, no government wouldn't, who cares if you put in pig milk? Today, if you put in pig milk into the thing, you could be fined and be closed down. That's a violation.
So it's about, they know they can't put in pig milk in the milk for the FDA or whatever.
Right.
But it doesn't mean they know that it's
No.
us served.
The reason the Machaba has to say it's also so, otherwise there is no mirses. Why would the guy be afraid?
So that he just doesn't know that they can't do this.
Do
Doesn't
it, because,
matter what
right.
it is.
All the Machaba is saying you need that, what you just said, is to create a state of mirses. So once he is afraid, he's afraid.
Like you think of a guy who was selling milk to a guy, and he's coming to buy cow's milk. He saw him, you know, diluting it with some donkey milk or whatever. That guy would not be upset.
Yeah, but how would he figure that out? How would he figure that out?
No.
How would he figure it out?
If he was standing outside.
Yeah, I'm saying, guess you'd be afraid to do it. You might walk into
The
him.
concept of
Mirces.
the guy who's milking the cow has to know that it's trade for you.
Yes, because otherwise there's no mirces. Maybe the guy from another guy couldn't care less. You put in a little pig's milk.
If it was with your favorite, the guy working on these farms, the guy working on these farms don't know that it's not kosher for a Jew to drink pig's milk. They're worried that.
That's what I said. That's what I just said.
I want to buy cow's milk.
Right, if a guy asks, I want some cow's milk, isn't there mirrors for that? Why not?
I added a little. It's good. Trust me, it's okay. Yeah, it's better. No. You have to know. See, you are used to living in America where everything is pure, clean. You know what I mean? So how could a guy do such a thing if I ask? But those days it didn't work that way. You know, the things. You know, nothing was clean. Nothing was perfect. You know, the kalim those days were dirty. You know, I mean, it wasn't like we live in a society where Elchonon says most dishes were dirty. What? I mean, what's wrong with the day-old's dirt? Well, they didn't know about bacteria.
But theoretically,
Yeah.
if the situation was that people like today, let's just say for example, if you went to a farm and said, "Hey, can I get some fresh cow's milk?" Not a Jew, a guy going to a guy's farm. I don't think any guy would be happy if the guy just dropped in some pig's milk.
But why would he be afraid to put a pig's milk on?
Huh?
Why is there mirces? How would he know?
He would be a similar minister. He looked like a fool. Like,
No,
hey,
he
what do you
probably
put
could
pig's
put in
milk
that he
my-
can't
my
take the
cow's
taste.
milk?
He figured out. I mean, there's a way to put in a little bit. You wouldn't feel the difference. Why would he be afraid?
No, but in today's society, like you said, everything's pure.
Look at what I'm saying.
How would he know that? I'm asking practically, how would he know that?
How would the Yid know about it? That should be
He's standing outside.
You know, I want to tell you something. The companies told me that illegally, the food, what they produce in the companies, allowed to have 2% of bugs.
2% anything, better than the joy.
Yeah, but it's allowed to have bugs in it. If it's more than 2% bugs, then they don't let you. 2% is a lot. You know, it's a lot. You know, So if you tell a normal guy, it's very possible, but you eating out of this can 2% of a bug. What? They have rules and regulations. The guy, it's not so. It becomes batal b'shishim. And I tell you, but I've been doing shishim.
So 2% is not good enough because it's more than shishim.
Bugs, yeah, but bugs, if it's crushed, doesn't give a taste.
No, because they might deal with a problem with milk from the government because legally they could put in up to 2%, which is less than shishim.
I don't know. No, milk has to be pure milk. No, that's in America.
I understand, but they could put in other milk up to 2%.
I'm saying no, they can't.
Oh, not even that.
All right.
Just to go back to Reverend Moshe's position, why is there no issue about the cow itself? What if the cow is not kosher for milking because of a veterinary procedure or for some reason?
Well, most cows don't have a problem.
Well, most. So is it?
That's nothing to do with emotion. That's a problem with us too. Let me tell you a frightening story.
Because there was no takana on it.
Let me tell you, 20 years ago, there was from Washington Heights, a guy became a veterinarian. A little less than 20 years. And he went, I said the story once, and he went to the, what's his name? And he went to Rabbi, says, I have a small question to ask you. When an animal eats too much, it gets bloated. And if you don't poke the stomach and pump out the ear, the animal could die in a few hours. So the vet is called quickly, and they put a needle into the stomach and just suck out the ear. But he was asking, doesn't he make a hole in the kishka, it becomes treif? He says, it's not a small question, and he tells him they do it all the time. All the time they do it. So that's when it turned out that this was very common. It turned out the irony, I won't tell you the irony, the people of Makpid in the Chol of Yisrael had a problem of kashrus. The people who Samech Moshe didn't have a problem. Why? Because the big farms everything was computerized. The animal couldn't eat only what it's allowed to eat, and the whole day the problem was remote. Small mom and pop farms, and it wasn't so. That the problem was. It was a very frightening story. If you remember, that means all over. Since then, already all the farms are organized. That's why in New York they use one huge farm. The people don't know. You go to New York, you buy Crown Heights milk, it's the same JJ, it's the same one, the same mashgiach. The same mashgiach. I know the mashgiach one who used to live in this town, I don't want to say his name, it's amazing that we use such a mashgiach, but who's going to be out there?
The whole 212 thing wasn't an issue.
The whole what?
212 thing, whatever. Get to the normal kosher farm.
That's something else. That was a separate issue. That was a separate issue. We'll get to it later. Yeah, that was a problem. But it was Zalman Shimon was the one who made a tumult, who held, was a huge problem for Chabad then. He held that you have to kasher 212, not enough. That's a huge chumrah. No, they use a kosher farm.
They don't have to kasher. But the milk from a cow that's treif is no good.
A milk from a cow, the treif is no good. Gemara says because ayotzim and atum is tumah. When the cow is treif, then the milk is treif. If a chicken is treif, the eggs are not kosher.
It has to be something that's going to kill the cow's ear and a small hidden hole.
The Gemara says it is a hole in the stomach makes the animal treif. It's a foolish Gemara.
So these plants are not machmer of that. The non-Jewish plants. Why are they here? If the cow's going to die any day now.
They heal it. What they do is they make a hole and they put some glue on mamish like a glue to stop the hole. That's what they do. But l'maisa and halacha, it's treif. We paskin if even though you sewed it up, it has it in treif.
So what treif for those who do not keep?
We do is we have a Jewish farm and they separate the cows that have the problem. They take it and they sell it immediately. They don't use it on the farm.
Asking people that are sending our Moshe, what are they going to do?
Because the big farms don't have the problem. I don't know why.
But anyhow, the whole takana of is treif from meat also?
What?
Yes.
But you don't have to worry about illnesses. Every animal is becheskes, kashrus, till you find that it's treif. That's a Gemara. You shecht an animal, it has a chazaka that it's kosher unless you find the reisa.
The only reason why we're so worried of Chalabaka was because of the special takana. Not
Right.
that
No
And we
problem.
did the same idea.
No problem.
There was no special takana that you have to worry about every animal.
No,
that might have to
absolutely,
go
because
up.
the animal, the Gemara says, animals b'cheskes kashrus until you find a reis. A reis means,
Check the lungs, the muscle. Why would we-
because it's common to have traits in the lungs.
Happen to-
But still, even though we don't use the animal, Chazal say 90% of the animals are still kosher. So we have a right to assume the milk came from a kosher animal. That's close. That's a Gemara. I mean, we check the lungs. It's quite common, and even though we pass a big part, that's because we don't know how to check the lungs properly. That's why. But in our mitzias is Rave animals do not die in that year because we pass a treif and a chaya. He will not live 12 months. So an animal, even though, so majority of cows is 100% not sick.
If they find the cow that was sick, do they go back and get that?
The milk is a problem, right?
But do they trace it?
I don't know how. You can't, then it becomes bottle. You can't trace it. You have 3,000 cows. You know. So the Mashgiach told me his job is just to be there to look, make sure they're milking. And if there's such a problem, there's once in a while, he says it's rare, because the reason it's rare, because the big farms, they computerize how much food to give to the animal. Everything works with computer today. If you let the animal roam, sometimes they might eat too much and it's not good for the animal.
So they probably make lots. They say.
Yeah, that's exactly what he told me. Everything today, everything is computerized to know how much he eats. Is it worth still to keep the cow? It's not like mom and pop. It's it's get on the computer. The cow goes through a thing and it has a tab. It goes in the computer. It produces so much milk, and how much goes to feed. And it's not worth it. Out to the slaughterhouse. Today everything works a different way.
So stam, essentially they add sometimes like minerals or vitamin D or is that?
Even the kosher milk they do that. They do it to orange juice too. There's some kosher milk.
But again, anything that's milk in America does not need a hexagon. If you go by stam.
Yeah, all of the stuff, it's okay.
But is it possible that the stuff they add is?
No, the stuff there is nothing. And orange juice also add vitamin E, D, and vitamin this. They add
But anyhow, even the whole stop people, they're still only buying, normally you're gonna buy the milk that's got a hexer on it, the Altadino or the.
Does not have a hechsher. Altadena has no hechsher on
Yeah,
it.
it does.
It does?
No, they do, they all have hexer.
I didn't know that.
They do. If you were around,
But there's you have to be worried about Caleb and things like there's other things aside. Caleb, nothing, because they have using vodka and that's it.
They're no kalim. What's a kalim?
They're using fats, I don't know.
Yeah, the vat is milk. So over and over milk.
They're using the hexer to say, well, they didn't use it.
They use a milk. It's just milk. Let me quickly say what you said about the 212. Let me explain what happened. See, the problem with kashering, first of all, is a big machlokes. If we're going to see later, if cholav akum, the belia of cholav akum, if asses or not. That means if we paskin asses. The famous question was that when you pasteurize, you never saw a pasteurization machine. You see on pictures, it goes through a bunch of things to kill the bacteria of the milk. So what happens is it never goes up to 212 because it's not good for the milk. The maximum goes to 160, a little bit more, whatever it was. So Reb Zalman Shimon, for some reason, which is a chiddush in halacha, he said it needs to be 212 to kasher it. And the companies wouldn't let them kasher 212. Breaks the machines. So they had a problem. They didn't want to use the regular milk, and for a while, people didn't know they were selling milk that would not kasher 212. And they did, and they were selling milk for Chabad. It wasn't kasher. Someone came and made it. It was impossible. But then someone figured out a way. Finally, they decided to use a kosher farm. Finish. They shouldn't have to kasher. Period.
Wasn't it based on the Shulchan says Malay Babala or something?
That it's not. It's only if it gets cooked. Something gets cooked, yes, the malabavuas. We have a cloud, kabbaloi kachpoltoi. The bala means a keli rishon, you need malavus because probably was malavuas. But I know for sure it wasn't, because if it would, it would break the machine. You don't need to. It's a big chiddush. Even Chabad people argue with the B'zalman Shimon. Rabbi Shoicha told me over here that he also argued with the B'zalman Shimon about it.
Doesn't milk boil at a lower temperature than water?
No, it's only if it's under pressure. No. When it boils, when it's under pressure. When it's like a pressure cooker, it boils. But they didn't want to boil. They just need a certain heat to kill the bacteria. The wine also, they never make it.
I went to wineries that
Rabbi, this is
212.
Never, never. They ruins the wine. It ruins the wine if they go up so high. They don't want you to go up high.
But this is what Danny was talking about before. That's another extra layer, because you're saying we know milk is kosher, but we're making a gzeira. To say that I need that separate kalim on a milk farm.
I want to tell you a interessante Sache. In the times of the Rizal, this says in the Kiss for Rizal, this is quoted from the Paiskim quote, the Chaim Vital brings it. In the times of the Rizal, they made sugar, and the sugar was made with cholav akum. I don't know what they did. They put milk into the sugar. So the Shulchan talks about why is the sugar not milchik? So have a problem. So it became bottle. But they asked, what happens with cholav akum? Why is it bottle? It's not that you need shishim and a kalim. So they said all the people were so much that you don't need. You don't say nasa nevela. You have to go into whole arichas nasa nevela. But there was so much that blia does not asa. Then, so there's a big chiddush that, like you just said, to say the blia asas and to say you have to machmel the greatest chumrah in the blia. That's all chumras. It's a huge chumras. Anyway, but the Maisa did do kasha. Everyone did kasha. They felt they could kasha kabbalah kach. That means if it never goes more than 180, then it was going to be kasha that way. And he said it has to have 212. That was the big thing.
So it's only Chabad that said that?
Only Chabad. Only Reb Zalman Shimon. Only Reb Zalman Shimon. It wasn't even Chabad. Reb Zalman Shimon. I know clearly, I heard from other Chabad 30 years ago, they were arguing with him, with the other Rabbanim Chabad. Why?
He said that the Shidi Kereb, they had the JJ. That's what they were saying.
And they drank it, and it wasn't until 212. They gave him a hard time, and I didn't know him. Looks like you couldn't argue with him. Someone told me. I don't know. Yeah, but he didn't let. He was didn't let argue. I don't know.
Oh, if we keep close we go to another dude's house, it's called stam. Can we eat off their kid when it's cold?
Cold, yes.
Cold, yes, but don't have coffee in the mugs or anything.
After 25
Well, the coffee in the mug, at 12 coffee in the mug is a kele sheni. It's a kele sheni, so you could be makel. Yeah, you could be makel in a kele because it's only kele sheni. What? Glass is for sure good, but even
That means anywhere in America you could use any mug.
any mug.
Because most of the milk is fine.
Right.
I mean, it's all stuff.
Yeah, so you could use but he's saying not that. He's saying something else. What he's saying, I'm explaining to him. Let's say you have a mug. How do you make coffee? You put it into a mug, right? So that's called a keli sheni. So let's say he goes to someone's house. It's not makbin cholav so he put milk. So the mug is called a keli sheni. So we meikar dem paskin a keli sheni is not beleya. It doesn't get absorbed. That's how we paskin. So Mela, so if you're going to go drink a coffee there, it's a keli sheni. So you don't have to worry that if anything absorbs, it doesn't absorb. That's a big cooler.
The cups are probably washed in the dishwasher. Does that get hot enough?
That's okay.
Is that a problem?
What if they're cooking their cholav Yisrael food for you, but in kalim that have previously been used for cholav?
Well, if it's Ein Ben Yoimer, it's okay.
Right. Okay. That's okay?
No, you're not allowed to tell him to do it like a tchila.
So why couldn't they do it when you're
Well, I'm saying you can't tell him to do it like a tchila. If once a person made it, you're allowed to eat it.
But look at the like if they're cooking.
Yes.
So when we invited you for Shiurim, so they said, hey, don't worry, everything's called Yisrael, and here's some delicious lasagna. You're allowed to eat it, you're not allowed to eat it.
Allowed to eat it.
Because they did without.
The next thing I'm going to find out, people said, Rabbi Tauber says you can eat cholav stam. Yeah, but it's stam kalim is any ben yoimai. And it's a huge chumrah. I mean, I'll take me another 10 minutes to explain this why. But the bottom line is, stam kelim is any ben yoim. I'm not going to do it for myself, but if he holds its mutter and he's doing it and he has a right to do it, so when I get the food, it's a nice time of gam, so it's not a problem.
Could they do that with the vats at the milking place where they ain't ben yoim?
No, because if I'm makbid, I cannot use it. If he would give me the keli, and to cook something, I'll have a problem. He's allowed to cook because he holds it's okay. Follow? Yeah, I don't know. You're from Canada. They're just as strict to checking the farms, and like in America.
All the milk from Canada comes from the farm above them.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but Canada's also they're careful. The other government on top of the situation.
Canada, Australia,
No, he's asking the Goyish world, the secular world is also strict with the like in America. They have inspectors. Yeah, the only ones I was told is South America. South America, everything is a joke. That's what I was told by people.
They what?
In South America, you can't trust nothing. You can't buy milk.
In Mexico too?
Mexico's worse.
The thing is, it might not even be milk.
Yes. Okay. All right, goodbye. Have a good Yom Tov.